Okay, if you ever want to take the cabs off these trucks, this is a 1950 Dodge Pilot House truck. You can tell it's a 50 because the body line goes from the front of the door all the way back to the door jamb. That's one clue. Another clue is that the e-brake is underneath the dash right there. It's a pull brake. Okay, those are two quick indications that it's a 50. Sometimes they can mix and match. Parts, trucks, also the wipers or holes are more towards the middle. They're not staggered. It's a symmetrical look. Okay, so if you want to take this cab off this frame, which is what we're going to do, and I'm going to do it with the doors intact, what's holding it on, and in some cases what's holding it up from being taken off. Holding it up would be the steering wheel. The steering wheel can be a problem. The way you do that is you disconnect the steering box from the frame. In a 50, they're long bolts in the front. Pull those off. Good to disconnect it from the steering linkage before you pull these out, which we did. I did it. You disconnect it from the steering, and then you take it off the frame. And then there's a couple other points, like this is what holds it to a bracket underneath the dash. Disconnect all the wiring. Most cases in an old truck like this, you're replacing all the wiring anyway, so you're just cutting wiring as you find it. Always good to use new wiring, unless you want to put a lot of work into a truck and possibly watch it go up in flames. So it's always good to just give up on the old wiring, and if you want to go 6 volt or 12 volt, there's still replacement harnesses for that. Let me make your own. So this these floorboards come out in 2 pieces. The bottom one cups over this floorboard and then lays flat on top of the upper one. And it's kind of self-explanatory. When you take the flooring off, you can see how it all bolts in there. You just take all the bolts out and slide them out. Once you slide them out, now you can see this big window right here to take out the steering column, and you've disconnected it up here from the bracket, like I showed, that bracket I showed you. There's some of the mounting holes. The bracket itself is up behind it, up in here, and wow, and this one, it's not there. I'll be damned. So somebody took it out. So they just had it to the actual dash. Well, you know, you never know what you're going to find. When someone says PO, they're talking about previous owner, and by looking at that and other things, there was a previous owner that had some ideas that some of it's safe, maybe not. There's a lot of good stuff on this truck as far as you know, what came from the factory, so I've been saving information on this as far as what I'm finding that way. So you take the steering column out, it's not in your way. You don't need to take the shifter off. You can leave that. It's basically, we just lift the cab up. In my case, we have a forklift, and I have a, you know, it's like a rug style extension on it. Goes right underneath here and then lifts it straight in the air. There's other ways of using cherry pickers, engine pullers. You put a 2x4 across top. You can look in the internet, you can find these 2x4 going across, and instead of pulling, you know, from the engine, instead of pulling the engine up out of embed, you're pushing up this way and lifting the cab up in the air. In that case, I'd take the doors off, because obviously it's kind of heavy, and the doors come off with those 4 bolts there, those 4 bolts there, and for God's sake, don't get excited about this thing, okay? You could, you know, your first inclination is to take this off and go after the insides of this, because you'll see this little clip. Where is it? I lost it. Oh. There it is. You'll see this little clip right here, and you'll want to try and somehow shove it off and take it off and all that. Let's see if I can get a good look at it. But the easiest thing to do is right there. Just grain that off right down there. And then, of course, I got the sun coming in. I don't know if you can see it. I blocked the sun on my finger. It's just like a little pin, almost like a pop rivet type thing, but you replace it with a tiny, beautiful looking little screw. There's other types of ways of doing it. You can look at pilothouse.com, pilot-house.com, and look that up and find threads on how guys replace that. But then the door comes off, and you save your whole deal there. Then this will come out, and then you can retrieve it out of here, and then you can replace the plunger on the end. It's a big rubber stop that clips on the end. It's just a heck of a lot easier and cleaner. So you lift this thing up. Oh yeah, take the gas tubing out. There's a gas tank, and there's a short rubber tube on there, and then there's usually a rubber shroud mat that's laying over the top of this, and it comes up, right through there. And then something, since I got everything kind of open here, if you take your seat out and you see that's how you get to your fuel sender. So if you want to check your wiring and stuff, you pop that off. I can try and pop this off. It doesn't look like the original, but there you go. And pop it off. And there it is. You can see the old wiring for it right here. And it's so dirty in there, it's hard to see it. It's really dirty in there. But anyway, clean it off. You can find some pictures what a gas tank looks like, and then you'll see what that looks like. But you can see how frickin' dirty it is. So those are other things. Now there's other caps that pop off back here that shows you 1 of 4. That's the rear. There's another rear over there. You can see the dark circle there if it's not focusing. And then there's these up by the feet, where the feet reside. There's a pedal for reference. There's that one right there. And then there's the other one over there. Those can be hard to take off. I don't know. They're the ones in the front. Those are getting grinded off because we've had trouble welding the nuts and trying to get the bolts to stay still. Trying to get you know how it is. So I'm just going to take the quick way out and grind them off and let them slide out, and then we'll replace them. There's as far as the bed coming off, to take this off, I don't think there's really any need to take this off. Just to take the cab off. I don't think there's really a step that would include take the bed off first. You can just go ahead and I did some videos back in, this is 2016. I did some videos on how to take off the front end, and obviously I would recommend that. Take the front off, and then if you're going to change this out to a Diplomat, an RMJ type front end. Sometimes the Ford guys like to call it Volare front ends. Us Mopar guys, I don't think we like to say Volare as much as everybody else does. I don't. I say Dodge Diplomat, as that's where mine came from. So you lift this guy up in the air, and just always check underneath, because POs, man, you never know what POs did. If they added extra wiring, extra tubing, extra whatever, they had to have this or had to have that. They repaired something funky. You don't know. Lift it slow. Don't need to make a mess of your day, let alone the mess of a truck. And if you're going to cut firewalls, if you're going to put in a V8, if you're going to put in the 6, whatever, all this has to happen first. Take the cab off and reinvent the inside of the cab, or reimagine it, or restore it, or refresh it, or refurbish. I love that debate, man. I love that debate on whether it's a refurbish, restored. I like that debate. I'd rather just say create. I create a truck out of parts that, most of it came from the same place, some of it didn't. What do you think, Moose? What would you call it? Yeah, you just... He's more interested in me. That's got to feel good. Because obviously I'm probably more interested in these trucks than most people. So, all right. So that's all I got for now. If I left anything out, point it out to me. And always happy to talk about it.